So those of you who don't know me, my name's Kayleen Harrington. I've recently joined the Norfolk Chambers of Commerce. I really hope you're enjoying our offering of virtual events, and thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. I'll put the events link in the chat function, so feel free to view this after the webinar and book on any. They are completely free to attend. Also, if you'd like to present or speak with Norfolk Chamber of Commerce as part of our virtual event offering, then please get in touch with me. I'll put my email address in the chat function shortly as well. If you want to be self-employed but don't know where to start, or if you're picturing life as your own boss and don't want to be disappointed, then this webinar is for you. In the 60-minute webinar, Graham Phelps, trainer of brilliant customer service, will show you proven ideas for marketing, customer development and managing your micro business. You're welcome to ask him questions during the presentation, and Graham will also answer as he goes through, and we'll also have a live Q&A afterwards. So please feel free to use the Q&A function whenever you have a question. Graham, over to you.
Thank you very much, Kayleen, and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. And thank you for taking the time to dial in or zoom in, whatever the phrase is, to this webinar. My goal for you this afternoon is to give you some ideas, maybe some reconfirming of ideas you already have that might be useful to you or others you know about this whole area of being freelance. And now, whether you are full-time freelance, whether it's something you're thinking of doing, whether you do a main job and do a little bit of freelancing, these ideas will work. They'll actually work for you as well if you even work for a company, as you'll see as we go through. Now, I put some slides together to give the event a bit of structure, and these will be available afterwards. I'm going to move through things quite quickly, so please, as Kayleen said, do fire off any questions you have during the Q&A button on the top or bottom of this screen. If I miss any, you can always email me or email Kayleen and we can come back to you that way. So without any further ado, I'd just like you to get started on this one. Now, this is the promise of this webinar, a highly practical training webinar that can save you time, money, and lots of late nights, and some proven ideas that really work. Now, just a little bit of context with this. I recently moved to Norfolk, and one of the first things I did when I got boxes unpacked was to join the Norwich Chamber of Commerce. But this was about a week before lockdown, and I was booked into this networking breakfast that never happened. But I thought, no, I'm going to stay with this. So I'm delighted to be giving back something to the Chamber of Commerce and to all you folks as well. I'm a great believer in the networking and the power of local chambers of commerce like this one. And I've been members of various chambers of commerce around the world many times. 6 things we're going to cover today: the OKRI model, defining your ideal customer, elevator pitch, a few marketing methods that I hope you find useful, some sales secrets, and finishing off with some ideas on working smarter. See, the thing about working for yourself is usually a feast or a famine kind of approach. You have more work that you can cope with or not enough. And when you get a lot of work, it goes late into the evenings, your weekends disappear. So I'm going to share with you my top 10 tips for apps that save you time. Now, what do you want to achieve from this presentation? Now, I'm looking down the list here, and I'm going to do a little poll in a moment. And it's kind of hard to guess, but I'd like you to ask yourself that question. Why am I here? Yeah, I don't mean in a philosophical sense, although that's not a bad question to ask occasionally, but why are you here right now? What is it you're looking for? What is the challenge that you would like a solution for? And maybe you'll find it. Now, as a background, I don't like talking about myself. Well, actually, that's not quite true. I do like talking about myself, but I think it's important to put a frame to this. When I first started working for myself about 30 years ago, and I used to say to my friends and ex-work colleagues, I say, I work as a consultant now. I'm a training consultant. I'm a business consultant. And they would look at me and go, oh, Graham, never mind. You'll find a job soon. You see, 30 years ago, being an entrepreneur, running your own business, what Kayleen called a micro business, wasn't quite as aspirational as it is now. right? So it was quite difficult in those days to explain to people what you liked about working for yourself. Terrible hours, but a great boss, I used to tell people. Now, 30 years later, I'm still doing it. And I can't quite believe it, really. In that time, I've trained 25,000 people across 40 countries on a range of topics, usually business skills, soft skills. And I've written a few books along the way to while away the dull hours on planes. But I've become a little bit of an expert in these areas. And I begin now to find myself talking to people who want to do the freelance thing as well. And they're trying to pick my brain. So that's why this idea for the webinar came back. A quick poll or three. Let's have a few quick polls. Now I'm going to ask for Kayleen's help here. So could you share the first poll for me, please, Kayleen? Right, now if you've never done this before in the audience there, all you got to do is choose the question, the answer to the question which best describes your situation. Are you a freelancer working for yourself or your own business, part-time, first year freelancing, 5 years plus, or hosts and panelists can't vote? Okay, so just need to do that. And Kayleen, I can't see this building up, but when everyone's, if you launch the poll, yeah, when everyone's got a vote, you can then share the results with everybody.
Okay, I'm just waiting for 3 more people.
Okay.
But it might be that they've got it on in the background, so. Yeah,
it might be background. So when you get about that, so you can share it now. Let's see what's the makeup of the room here, the virtual room.
Share results.
Okay. Right.
Can you see them?
Yeah, I can see that. 40% of you are working as freelance with other work, which is exactly how I started. And I think that's a very sound move. First year of freelancing, you've left the shore, you're paddling away there, and 5 years plus, an advisor to others, so 7% there. Okay, great. Can we do the next poll, please, Kayleen, as well?
Of course, bear with me.
While they're in the button clicking mode, let's give them another question, right? Do you sell mainly business to business, business to consumer, online only, or something else? Which is the main format of your business?
This is going quick. So we've got 11 out of 17, 13 out of 17. I think just waiting for a couple more.
This will help me share the examples that will be relevant to you.
And we've got 14 out of 17, so it's up
That'll
to
do. Let's see the trend. Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. As I thought, looking at the list here, so 70% of people work in a business to business, or selling to organizations and companies. Okay, great. Thank you, Kayleen. 29% online only. That's interesting. Last one, last poll. Quick poll, please, Kayleen. Last one. Let's see what the results are for this one.
There we go.
The biggest challenge or question with regard to freelancing or running your own business, which one of these is your biggest challenge or question? Finding customers.
They're thinking about this one. It's not as quick. So we've got 9 out of 17, 11 out of 17, 13 out of 17, 14.
Right. Let's have a look, see what, this will be interesting to see what the trend is now.
There we go.
Okay, finding customers in your business, followed by time management and the lack of support and resources there. Yeah, that's pretty pretty not common, but it's a trend. Yeah, you've got to get out there and make your own business, as it were. Managing your time is always tricky, and you do lack the kind of infrastructure support and sometimes the administration aid that you have working in a company. Excellent. Thank you for that, Kayleen. Thanks for that. Now, into setting up a freelance organization, whether you're running a big business or a small business, it's all about goals, and everything else is relatively detailed. But let's put some science to this. Many years ago, and I think probably one of the first business books I ever read, and this really does date me, was by Peter Drucker, called Managing for Results. And this was a groundbreaking book, and he talked about the idea of managing by objectives and performance management. And this was really kind of one of the first people to get out there and say that kind of theory. More recently, a man called John Dewar has written a book called Measure What Matters. Now, he was a big name with Google, and he was inspired by a guy called Andy Groves, who was a big driver in generating massive success for Intel. And they kind of took the managing for results ethos of Drucker and turned it into this nice, simple model of OKR. Objectives, key results, initiatives. That's what it stands for. So you have a big objective. It doesn't have to be a SMART goal. It just has to be something which energizes you and focuses you. Then you have the key results. These are more targeted goals where you know you're on track. And then you roll those into a series of campaigns or initiatives. Let me give an example. Decide where you'd like to be in 2 or 3 years' time. Describe your lifestyle, the kind of clients, the business level you want to have, the kind of projects you're working on, and your income. And then work that backwards into a 30, 60, 90-day goal. What have you got to achieve between now and the end of the year? What have you got to achieve between now and the end of August? Because this will keep you focused. And then set down a series of daily or weekly activity metrics. In many ways, it's a bit like running a marathon. And I think that's a good analogy because running your own business is not a sprint, it's definitely a marathon. If you enter a marathon, the best thing you can do is enter it 2 years ahead. And then you set the kind of training routine you need, but every single day, every single week, you've got to have a target for how many miles you put away. If you miss 2 or 3 days, it's going to add up. So you've really got to think of your business this way. And this is how people make their small steps and turn it into a full-blown micro business.